How did you guys meet?
I was going to school in Boulder, Colorado, University of Colorado. And I was making myself a Western shirt. I was embroidering the yoke for it. But I happened to be sitting on a bar stool at a beer bar doing my embroidery. And the Navy had sent him there for a special school. He was out wandering around that night.
What was your first impression of him?
Nice, tall.
What was your first impression of her?
Pretty. The embroidery stuff was a good icebreaker.
So you came up and you asked her about her embroidery?
What?
You came up and asked her about her embroidery?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess it was a strange thing to be doing on a bar, sitting on a bar stool.
I went out with my hallmate Victoria that night to Peabody's in Virginia Beach because there was nothing going on campus. We decided to go to Peabody's, and while we were there, I got really hungry and decided to order some cheese sticks, so we sat down for me to eat. And some guy sat down in a bar stool next to us at the circular table with his back to us. He hadn't even seen us. And I just kind of looked at Victoria, and we were like, okay, and just ignored him. And then he turns around, he's like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was sitting next to people. And I was like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. My face was stuffed with cheese sticks. And he told me his name was Cole, and I told him my name was Alexandria. And then he asked for some of my food. And I was like, sure, okay, I guess I'm not going to eat it all anyways. And we just got to talking, and he told me he was from Ohio, and we went on a double date the next day and had a blast.
What was your first real date that you guys went on? Do you remember?
Well, that evening, I was sitting in one bar waiting for a dance that was going to start at another bar, so we went to the dance together. 3 months later, we were married.
His parents made it down here from Ohio. My mom drove down here from Ohio, and they were with us. My grandparents were with us.
But when we decided to get married, we didn't have enough money to get married. So we decided to wait a couple paydays. So we got married the first Saturday after the second payday.
Tell me about your wedding. So you guys are having a wedding.
Yes.
When is that?
June 2018, so a month after I graduate. We just decided to do this wedding literally a week ago. Just because right now with him being on deployment, we're saving up a lot of money and we're not really getting help to pay for it. Traditionally the bride's parents pay for that or someone helps, but neither of our parents have that much money, so it's reasonable that we're paying for it ourselves, but it's definitely going to be small and on a budget. But right now we can save up the money for it, and we didn't really get to have a wedding when we went down to the courthouse and got married. So we kind of really want to have that celebration where we get to enjoy it with our really close friends and family and have that really deep moment with everyone there with us.
We were married in a side chapel at a cathedral in Albuquerque. And my mom came by train from Cleveland. My uncle came from Denver, and another aunt and uncle came from Colorado Springs. And his parents drove in from Los Angeles area. One of my college roommates acted as bridesmaid. Then we drove up into the mountains above Albuquerque for a wedding reception. Very small.
What was your wedding dress like? Do you remember?
Yes, it wasn't white, it was gold, a cocktail dress. not sure I may still have it. It's interesting. At that time, it was a size 12. And the size 12 now would never fit into that dress. They probably call it a size 8 now.
Did you like having a small wedding? Or was that just what your options were?
Well, with his family in Los Angeles and mine in Cleveland, we got married somewhere in the middle.
So were you guys living in New Mexico?
Yes, he was stationed there.
Did people think it was weird that you got married in only 3 months after meeting each other, or was that normal back then?
It wasn't particularly normal, but it wasn't unusual either.
How old were you guys when you got married?
He was 25 and I was about 20.
We're so young, and that's just not typical. And my group of friends, his group of friends, I mean, even though most of his really close military friends are all single, it's not strange to them. It's the last thing a college student thinks about when it comes to a relationship connection, because they assume boyfriend or girlfriend. When for me, it's husband. So I get a lot of like weird looks when I'm like, I'm married.
Did you feel that you were ready to get married when you got married, or were you too young? I was like, I'm 21 and I'm not quite ready to get married.
I was ready.
You were ready?
My 21st birthday, I had a husband, a house with a mortgage, and morning sickness.
I want kids, and the fact that my friends have kids is making me a little baby crazy, which is like an issue because like I'm only 21. I shouldn't be thinking about kids for like another 5 years, but I'm also already married compared to everyone else. Cool thing about my life is that I'm more of an adult than most people my age, but it's also the stressful part of my life. Like I pay bills, but I live off campus and I can sustain like a regular lifestyle while being a college student. Like being able to live off campus and buy groceries and pay my own bills and be independent from my parents. But it also is a little stressful as well.